Welcome, welcome, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for our halftime show. Now, that game was pretty damn convincing for the side of Cincinnati Fear. Let's get that and address that out of the way. You know, one of the things that we were kind of addressing in this matchup between both FlyQuest Challengers and Cincinnati Fear is looking at that bot lane matchup. That Minui, maybe not the greatest marksman player, against someone like Masus, who even with 100 plus ping has been killing it. But Cincinnati Fear say, we're not going to even put Minui on a marksman. We're going to give him Seraphine. And Enchanter, we'll give the marksman duties over to Shochi, who has been doing a pretty damn good job. So, I think I would like to kind of start the conversation into our halftime show, based or misplaced. Jay, I know our producer, I didn't give you which order to go through these ones, but could you show me the one from ICMC? Or for those who are seeing based or misplaced for the first time, this is just a little halftime show segment where throughout the game, I take comments from Twitch chat, from Reddit, from Twitter, from Discord, and I put them up here, and we determine, or mainly Desrex and Josh, will determine whether it's based or misplaced.
So you want us to go off of this one?
Yes.
First?
Shochi #1 mid laner in Challengers from ICMC.
I'm going to say let him cope.
Yeah, Shochi got kind of handled by Insanity last time we saw the Dig matchup. I think Shochi's really good, but I think he plays at least a little bit more supportively to the team in most cases when you're looking for someone who's gonna like pick off in certain fights. So yeah, it's misplaced.
This isn't
so many good mid laners in the pool too.
This isn't saying a whole lot about Shochi, right? It's not saying that he's bad, but like we have a Menace, Insanity. Like honestly, I felt like Spyrex played the lane quite well. Like Hoppy's still in the league, right? But Lulu's still in the league. It's not as though Shochi's bad. It's just like, wow, look at how good some of these other mid laners are, right? And I feel like Shochi, to their credit, once the laning phase has ended, has been playing quite a bit better throughout most of the games. They actually have a pretty darn good team fight sense, but it is one of those things where, as one of these younger players, I still see a lot of room for growth, and I actually have the confidence they can get there. I just don't think they're there yet.
Okay. Well, much like Shochi's room, it's scaling. He's building upon things, you know, as we go further and further along. But lovely producer Jay, I want to bring up our next based or misplaced one. Let's go to the one submitted by Saidanyo. Saidanyo. Guys, I think this is a very important conversation topic to discuss. Why didn't Nautilus take Snowball this game? What's up with that?
It's pretty based. That's pretty based.
Well, what's up with that? What happened?
You know what? I think if we added Snowball to Summoner's Rift, it would make for a very, very interesting meta, especially for some of our melee champions and engagers. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm bored of this current meta. Bring Snowball in. It's base. This is a base take.
Honestly, I would love that as a rotating game mode. If you literally just took Summoner's Rift and added Mark Dash to it, like it would be such like a great game mode just to kind of see what would happen. You don't even have to change anything else. Like you don't need to give me Earth Cannon. You don't need to give me, you know, rapid abilities. You don't need to give me extra range. Literally just add that summoner spell as a rotating game mode and just see what happens for a month.
I mean, I'm just gonna say, if Snowball was in Summoner's Rift, we'd have a whole meta revitalization around certain champions that have trouble getting access to the backline or going for flanks, and then suddenly you give a Darius a Snowball. Oh no!
Just imagine you're in the mid lane farming, and then out of the Raptor camp, a little Snowball comes out and pings you, and suddenly your day's done. Or Marksman. Marksmen are absolutely gonna hate that. They don't need any other ways for people to get into the backlines as it is.
You say that, but Marksmen are already the most broken class in ARAMs anyway, even with Mark Dash. So like...
Down with the Marksman. Down with the Marksman. All right. Well, the Marksman supremacy might still last longer, but we have another take, this time from Discord. I think I yoinked this one from the Oracle's Elixir Discord.
Oh, no.
From Shattered.
Already misplaced.
No, not gonna lie. FlyQuest Challengers should be rebuilt around Masu.
That's a hard one.
So, at the beginning of the year, I would have disagreed with this one.
Yeah.
But the way that we've kind of seen the rest of the FlyQuest challengers play thus far, we've kind of been asking for, like, where is their shot calling going to be? And in particular, I feel as though their top lane, Philip, was one of these players that we had a lot of expectations going into this split as going to be one of our top 8, maybe not our best, but at least a pretty decent mid laner. He's solidly fallen down, and while I don't have the number of solo deaths, I actually expect that he's gotten solo killed more times than any other top laner that we have in the league, which is not something that you should be expecting from somebody that has had this LCS experience in the past. Masu has been very, very good, and so a full rebuild, it's asking for a lot, but I'm gonna go with base just because I feel like Masu is that good.
So I will give context that I didn't include some maybe language I wouldn't, promote using, but basically, this person did intend that the entire FlyQuest roster should be boomed, and then only Masu remains. And
that's
yeah,
misplaced. That's misplaced.
That's too far. That's too far.
That's misplaced.
You got some good players on here, for sure.
I think Masu is definitely someone you can highlight and keep developing. Travi, as I said, another caster, does a lot of work for Team Liquid. Would be mad at me if I didn't say it was based to build something around Masu. But that being said, Spyrax is really good, man. He's had a lot of highlight moments. I think Yuji has shown a lot of growth as well. I think there's still a lot of good pieces that just I don't know. We're just waiting to see how that actually does.
We need a shot caller. I mean, that's the big thing, right?
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, we highlighted it at the beginning of the season, right? And we talked about what does a world look like for FlyQuest Challengers without Diamond there as your main vocal leader, instilling leadership and just being that guide. I mean, and it's been really rough for FlyQuest. They have the skills necessary, but then they just get lost in the sauce when it comes to mid-game round, right? All right. Our fourth, potentially final one, depending on how much more time. This one is going to come from Astronautilus. This is looking outside of the game and kind of looking at the meta state right now about some support picks, Annie and Soraka. And, this is kind of just like a general scope for the day. Annie Soraka would also pretty cracked right now. Wouldn't be surprised if a team, or I guess I think they were trying to say, would be surprised if a team doesn't give us Annie today.
Yeah, I'm like 90% sure we are on 13-3 today, and Annie is just so much better. Like, it's honestly not ridiculous to see her in the mid lane today, and I do get confirmation we are on 13-3. Yeah, this champion should be played for sure. Soraka, not as good, but that's mostly just because, like, Annie is, like, pushing 60% win rate. So, like, I don't think that's saying a whole lot about Soraka. This is based. If we don't get a single Annie today, I will be surprised.
I agree with the based as well. Not for, like, any of the more fancy analytical stuff, other than I just, like, I love it when mages started to show up in the bottom lane, and it was a lot of... Josh, what did you say? I'm watching you. I'm watching you, man. I loved it when a lot of the mages showed up in the bottom lane before. It was like Annie, Fiddlesticks, Supportlesticks was a big one. I think they bring a lot of interesting play. I think they make the bot lane that much more aggressive, and it's just fun. It's just fun. It's a champion I played a lot when I was doing support down in the bottom lane, so I just love seeing it.
And it's
based.
Yeah, I'm definitely on the same boat. I mean, Tibbers Flash is always an incredibly potent tool later in the game, and with the amount of CDR or ability haste that is available in the game, I mean, your job is just AoE stun engage, baby, and we've even seen combinations with like Callista, so you can make engages even longer range and more reliable, especially
Annie, I choose you. Tibbers,
exactly.
I choose you.
And compared to like having Ashe support run around when that thing is a global ultimate, I mean, you need all the range and the movement speed you can get. And you know what? We do have time for one more take, and it's another take from Astronautilus text, just because I do enjoy reading your comments a lot. Can we just go ahead and have Fear 1v1 dig for an LCS spot, please? Now, what I didn't get confirmation was if this is Dignitas Challengers.
I mean, it has to be LCS. It has to be LCS.
Oh, so like the current
man.
LCS Dig 09 roster, 1v1 Fear. Like old school promotion relegation style.
Base.
I don't want to answer.
Let's go. It's base. You're going 0-9 on a round robin regular season. Fight for your spot back. Damn it. Fear, get up there and go beat up Dignitas.
Oh my.
Yeah, the script writers work in overtime this year because when Dignitas went 0-9 on the LCS stage, they also went 0-9 in kills on the same day. So like,
No, that was crazy. Oh man. Now, I don't think we have any more time to discuss this further because I think we could definitely go off on a tangent. But thank you so much, everyone, for enjoying our halftime show. It is now time for us to wrap this segment up as I toss it once again over to Deserex and Joshi for our second game of the series.
All right, thank you.
Good work.
And Josh, you're not getting away from this. Was that based or misplaced?
mm-hmm.
Josh?
Mm-hmm.
Josh?
It's kind of based, not gonna lie. This is
Commit to the bit, Josh.
Dignitas LCS is a team. They're definitely not better than all of our Challengers teams, for sure. But we have to cover the Challengers League, so we're gonna get it refocused in, and I'm pretty sure we all do have our teams on the correct side this time, so I won't be bamboozled by any of the bans coming through. I was so shocked last game at like all the bans that are coming through. It's like, why are they banning their own champions on both sides? Whereas this time, we're banning away the Tristana. As I kind of touched on before, right? Like, people have been playing Sylas into the Tristana, and it is baffling. Like, it is bafflingly bad to try and play the Sylas into the Tristana unless you just don't respect your lane opponent. And so this is going to be one of those spots where FlyQuest Challengers not even going to give that opportunity over. And even though Spyrex did well in the lane, he was not able to build up any advantages, which is something that FlyQuest Challengers have really relied upon in a lot of their games.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, is that Spyrex did do well in that lane, and for the most part, they went neutral, but it just took one fight to get Shochi resets, and now that was a completely different story and in the favor of Cincinnati Fear. So many marksmen being banned away, 4 of them, as well as the jungle pull from last game, Elise and Wukong, both taken off the map. First pick coming out for FlyQuest will be Maokai.
I mean, no big surprise there, but hey, Eric, Faisal still has Olaf available, and one of the things that we were talking about, I actually talked to Lynx a little bit from AoE after their baffling draft going up against Fear, right, where they saw Olaf B1 and was like, I want Vi, a Moo, and something else that has like a lot of crowd control, and it's just like, okay, and they're like, yeah, I don't think our draft is that bad. It's like, are you sure? Are you sure that draft is playable? Whereas this is already a situation where Olaf into the Maokai is very, very strong just because you ignore a lot of the crowd control that he puts out. Yuji will never be doing enough damage to actually like 1v1 Olaf, and so the only real way that Yuji can like interact with Olaf later in the game is by throwing down those saplings to try and spot out where he is. This is playable, but if it's going towards the top lane, we're gonna have a problem.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
We're gonna have a big problem. If you've ever had a time to fear Cincinnati Fear, it's gonna be topside. It's gonna be right now, because Faisal being on this Olaf has brutalized a lot of our mainstay top laners over here in the NACL. I remember very first game, gets a solo kill against Bradley, someone we have such high regard for. So Faisal has big time hands when he's on the Viking, and to have parry with the Sejuani that complements melee top laners so well, I feel very bad for Philip over on this top side. But it is going to be the Gnar. It is going to be the Gnar, and this, I don't know how I feel about this right now.
I think Fear are poised for a 2-0 today, Eric.
I don't know how I feel about this right now.
This draft coming up from FlyQuest Challengers is incredibly disrespectful, going up against what Fear have already shown, like things that we know that they like to play, right? Gnar into Olaf is barely playable. You are basically going to get chunked out at level 1, you get run down, and because Gnar's hop is on something like a 24-second cooldown at rank 1, and you usually max it last, so it stays that way almost the entire game, you just get run down, right? You get one time to dodge an axe, and then you have to hop. You try and do it again, and you don't have hop this time, you just get run down, and so you're going to be losing a ton of CS. This Jace going into the mid lane will have a decent matchup into the Sylas, to be fair, right? Spyrex will have an opportunity to kind of try and push Shochi around, but that changes so much when you suddenly have this Sejuani on the field, because Jace is no longer safe in the mid lane.
I don't know. This seems like quite the blunder in draft coming out for FlyQuest right now. I mean, it's been a point of attack before for teams to go into that top side and just decimate Phillip and make that your win condition. And this is allowing Fear to have exactly that because Faisal can run through with it. I want to see what the bot lane is going to be, if this can possibly change my opinion whatsoever. We already got the support ban coming through. Callista going to get taken away. We got to see what these bot lanes are going to be for both squads.
Yeah, I mean, I already look at what Fear have, and I say, like, yeah, if I'm given this draft, I'm already calling it's like, hey, I want to play Seraphine on our bottom lane right now. Like, this is the perfect draft to have a Seraphine built into it, right? You already have a strong front line to try and protect it. You have consistent damage coming out from Shochi, Faisal, and you have a strong tank coming out in Perry as well, right? And you look on the other side, it's very, very difficult for these guys to actually go for flanks. They really need to be proactive about being in odd spots, but unlike something like the Olaf or like an Akali, where they can kind of fight their way out and they have a lot of dashes to like get over walls, these guys don't have that, right? Jace relies on blast cones to get over walls, relies on teleport to get into the right position, and Gnar, if you use that, you can no longer really participate in the rest of the fight because you're going to have to use your flash to get in on the fight at all. And so, while we look at what Fear has been going for, I would be a little bit surprised if they don't pick like either a crazy DPS 80 carry, something like a Sivir or a Xayah, or they go towards a Seraphine again in order to really play towards the top side and build towards this identity that this team has had since day one.
Waiting for that timer to tick away. That lock-in is going to be the Xayah this time. Okay, so it will be over in the bottom lane. We will have that Xayah. Does have a lot of carry potential to that regard for Cincinnati Fear. It's a very strong draft coming out of them so far. Last pick gonna be the support. What does Masu have for this? This is a lane we need to dominate at this point for FlyQuest's draft. They hover through some of these marksmen. What are you expecting, Josh?
I'm trying to think of like what fixes this composition. There's kind of like not a lot that does, and so this is one of the picks that is coming out as just kind of like, yeah, good luck, guys. I'm going to be doing my own thing. So this is going to be a situation where the FlyQuest Challengers, like their composition is just like a lot of pieces, right? It's not like one solid composition, and it actually pushes Yuji as well to build like a full AP kind of Maokai. And I think I've already made my thoughts on that fairly well known. I think it's kind of trash. So there's not a whole lot of good opportunities to do that, but they're kind of being forced to do that right now because they have no other magic damage on their team. And if you have no magic damage going into, an Olaf plus a Sejuani where they can just armor stack, you just lose because you can't kill them. And so I'm looking at this FlyQuest Challengers roster, and I don't want to say it feels like they've given up, but it definitely looks like the kind of thing where Fear have no worries at all. The only thing that they need to be worried about is Spyvax really taking off in the middle lane with Yuji coming around to try and help them out. And maybe if Masu and Kitan can find a couple of good engages in the bottom lane and beat up Manui and Trevor, that can go well too, but the win conditions for FlyQuest Challengers are so narrow.
You do have a decent playmaker being on the Kai'Sa, at least in terms of marksman.
Yeah.
You can jump onto that back line and start to just decimate a lot of these health pools. You're going to need great follow-up and great protection out of Kitong and Yuji to provide that team fight. But that's the thing. It's the Olaf. Once again, it keeps coming back to that topic of the Viking running through. If Faisal gets fed, then it doesn't really matter that much for Masu because he will run through the crowd control regardless of your setup.
Yeah, and so we'll take a look at this, right? It feels like Fear have gotten everything they wanted, and FlyQuest just let them have it, right? There's a lot of like comfortable champions coming out for FlyQuest Challengers, and we'll see if the veterancy and just like the experience that they have on all these characters is enough to override the compositional dominance Fear have built up for themselves. Game 1 showcased that Fear were better at building plans than FlyQuest, and so this is going to be another opportunity. Like you said, Eric, FlyQuest, they also came off a 0-4 week in week 4, and now into week 5. I mean, that's going to be a 5th game in a row that they are going to be dropping. Doesn't look good for them for game 6.
Look good right now as Perry on the invade spots out Yuji. It'll just be to push Yuji out of this position right now, get some deep warding in. Perry going to spot out where this pathing is going to come out from the Maokai, as a ward is on the blue buff, so forces Yuji over to this bottom side.
And the fact that Fear are taking control of the game relatively early on, not super surprising, but is definitely going to be tough for FlyQuest to try and bounce back, right? You see that Yuji's going to be starting on the other side, and at least they have a ward on Perry's blue buff, so they can get some idea of what Perry's path is going to be. But we've seen it so many times, people kind of get locked out of one quadrant of the jungle just because of the fact that their opponents have really good reads. So, Manui and Trevor, I don't want to call him like a weak spot, but it is definitely a spot where this might be the biggest mismatch in terms of FlyQuest strengths compared to Fear strengths, because Minui and Trevor, we keep pointing this out, you know, they're not demanding a lot of resources.
They don't demand much in terms of resources because they don't really play to carry the game. They play to help Fear win the game.
Yeah.
The greater picture of everything. But I want to point over to this jungle pathing coming out. Perry has taken the blue buff. It will be vertical jungling coming out of Perry as he heads over to his Raptors. My question is going to be, when does Perry visit this top side? Because this Olaf-Sejuani combo is oh so deadly.
I don't know if he really needs to do it proactively. I think it's more of a defensive thing that you can potentially go for, which is part of why we're seeing Perry kind of shift up, does the opposing blue buff, and then goes for what I've heard called the Santorin path, right? Oh, Keaton going in again. That's a heal.
Keaton's getting a lot of knockups, but taking a lot of damage in these trades. Masu backing out. Oh, this would be disaster for FlyQuest if they lose too much right here, but they will be able to survive, only burning one flash.
Yeah, but that's still a lot of damage coming through, right? There's not a ton of sustain coming out from Keaton and Masu. And now Perry not going towards the top side, going towards the mid lane instead.
Perry's there, lies in wait. Shochi hops in, waiting to get the root onto Spyrax. Spyrax forced to burn the flash over the wall, gets into the river.
Yeah, great waiting from Perry, waiting for Shochi to get level 3 so they have access to all of those abilities. Does find that Yuji has come towards the side of the map, and this is an assumption where it looks like Perry just thinks his blue buff is gone, but it's still there.
Yuji's going for a gank in the bottom lane. Yitong doesn't get the knockup, and instead, that's the pain right there for this Rakan pick. If you miss that knockup, the return of damage is so big for Minui and Trevor.
Yeah, we also saw, I mean, good root coming out from Trevor. Great handshake. You always want to make sure it's firm, but now Yuji's getting caught. Gonna have to flash.
Yeah, Yuji in a very tight spot to be. Permafrost gets the stun. And as you said, flash over the wall. The early pressure is starting to show from Cincinnati Fear.
Yeah, I mean, this was the worry, right? You look at the composition coming out from FlyQuest, you look at the composition coming from Fear, and you ask, when is Fear not winning compositionally? And the answer is, never?
I appreciate the hesitation. It really sells the moment.
I was really trying to justify it.
All right, dive coming in the bottom lane. Perry
is
absorbing that damage. First blood goes over. Keaton will grab a double kill. A big blunder for Fear is going to result in not one, not two, but perhaps 3 kills. Trevi has a long way to run. The knockup doesn't find it, but it will get the flash. And what a turnaround for the FlyQuest bot lane.
And a hero has emerged for FlyQuest. It's Keaton. That's not what I was expecting coming through. This dive ends up starting out, and it is so awkward, right? You see that they try and get things started, but look who has the bailout. It's not Perry, it's Trevor. He's the one who's bailed himself out, and it disappears before it ever becomes relevant. Minui basically one-shots himself on that turret by tanking, and suddenly, FlyQuest, I mean, it was looking super, super dire, but a huge influx of gold suddenly means that this bottom side of the map is strong, and with no flashes on Minui and Trevor, it's perfectly inviting a repeat gank coming in from Yuji.
Point of attack. You got to take it for FlyQuest because you're not going to have too many of them. I mean, Masu, even with just 2 assists, it's 2 assists getting picked up, so it's still a lot of gold getting picked up by this Kaisa. Cincinnati Fear are going to reevaluate, and they're looking to potentially set up something topside, but Philip's not going to allow it.
Yeah. We also do want to give a quick shout out to Spyrax as well, right? Kind of suffering and doing a good job, like equalizing the Silas versus Tristana matchup, and now in the Jace versus Silas matchup, actually doing quite a good job, right? This is one of the reasons why we were saying Shochi, #1 in challengers. I don't know, Spyrax is a pretty darn good laner, and this is a great example of it, really pushing Shochi towards the backside. And is another place where Fear are actually building, or FlyQuest are building up a bit of a lead. Because Shochi, not strong yet.
Said FlyQuest cannot let this up. Don't want to lead going over to Cincinnati Fear.
Okay.
So trying to be proactive on map is going to be Cincinnati Fear as they invade on to Yuji and Keaton. Perry goes forward, has Trevor in the back pocket, but there's not much damage available for Fear to fight this. Perry, bailout comes out, needs to take down Yuji fast, but it's not fast enough. Now Trevor, 1 versus 4. Minui says, never mind, walks the other way, and that's 2 kills going over for FlyQuest.
Trevor gets a kill on the backside at the very least, but that is a consolation prize at best. Is this a kill?
Oh, going for it and finding it in the mid lane, 1v1. Spyrax gets the solo. FLYC with the chase on to Philip. Able to get the axe, gets the slow. Ragnarok popped, but more and more into the pocket of FlyQuest. They're getting the early game plays they need. They needed to find it fast, Josh, and they are.
They are doing so much more. FlyQuest have finally found their footing. We said game 1 was a good early game from them. This is another good early game coming out from FlyQuest, taking control of Perry's side of the jungle. And again, look at Shochi. I mean, losing the flash here is what causes him to die later on as well. So far, FlyQuest, some of these early game plans coming through, and it feels like they've been really driven by Yuji across both of these games so far, has been absolutely massive. And getting the double kill makes the rest of this so much easier, as there's not a whole lot for Shochi to really do in that position. It's just a good laning read coming out from Spyrax.
Shout out to the LEC, currently joining us for a raid. Welcome to the NACL, the semi-pro of North American Competitive League of Legends. Currently right now, FlyQuest.
Don't worry, we'll have Moose Hater later for you guys. We know you like him.
He's coming next game. He's coming next game. Don't you worry. The wait won't be long.
Right now it's Moose Hater at home. I know you have Philip and Faisal.
Faisal's not... Faisal's still a lot of fun.
He's a lot of fun.
Players are a lot of fun.
True. But they came here for one thing. They want the Mickey D's. You know? Going to Burger King or Wendy's, not quite the same thing. It's a different kind of fast food. And here we go. Shochi looking for Spyrax.
Your McChicken copy pastas in the chat right now. Spyrax gets engaged on. Out comes the Permafrost. Gets a good amount of crowd control going through, but Masu fighting it out with Minui in the bottom lane. Minui laying those feathers down, looking for a root, looking for the damage. Masu has 200 health remaining, and Trevor's getting a little bit too low. Root's going to be found onto Masu. Masu tries to turn it onto Trevor. Flash burns out of Ketong. And this bot lane, it is oh so feisty, Josh.
Oh, they are fighting over and over. The fact that all the gold has gone over to Ketong instead of Masu so far, making that closer than it feels like it should otherwise be. But Minui just standing and delivering, going to be getting themselves a solo plate down here. And 1v2, like, he is not attackable by FlyQuest right now, and will be able to push that lane in at the same time. But FlyQuest, I mean, one of the things they have not really been doing is they have not been moving their support up to try and play for this Rift Herald. So Minui, good dodge.
Storm comes out, needs one more auto. Just one more auto to take Masu. We'll have to settle for Ketong, and that's still going to feel good nonetheless. That's a shutdown from the 2 kills earlier picked out by Ketong. So influx of gold for Minui. Fight over by the Rift Herald. Trevor flashes away. Yuji looking to get the steal. Fear are running a bit low right here. Yuji has the opportunity to take this away, waiting for the eye to go up, and Yuji will nab it. Can't get the eye, though. Still denial from Fear.
But that's money. That's straight cash money going over to FlyQuest, and they are going to be able to pick up the eye.
There he has to walk away. Fear put their attention topside. They stole away
no flash.
The ultimate from the Maokai. No flash going to be available, so they will root down and lock up Philip. Faisal gets the kill.
Hey, I mean, that's a bit of a comeback coming through from Fear, but losing the Rift Herald really hurts as we instantly see people moving towards the mid lane, right? Ketong comes up a little bit late, but suddenly, I mean, it feels like FlyQuest are winning, right? The way that they've been playing thus far, and we can see it a little bit here in the 1v2 that Minui actually goes for. Ketong tries to play this out, but I mean, it's such a telegraphed bit of crowd control coming out from Ketong, and Masood just doesn't have the HP left to try and do any damage. And Ketong, you know, as you said, I mean, he feels like a consolation prize because it's not the AD, but the fact that it's a solo kill and a shutdown, a ton of extra gold, a bunch of extra experience, and now Minui, who we kept saying was playing kind of like a supporting actor role, suddenly become the main character for Fear.
What's been interesting to me is some of these bot lanes that have been challenging Masu have not been the ones we've been expecting to challenge Masu. I remember it was Aaron and Sketch who got pretty good 1v1s against Masu and Ketong over in the bottom lane. Oh, trade coming out top side. Not going to find too much else there. But same thing right here. Minui and Trevor are winning out on some of these skirmishes against Masu and Ketong. So interesting little development we've had happen throughout the rest of the seasons. It feels like some of these marksmen are able to catch up.
Yeah. I mean, it has been really interesting, right? We did touch on the fact that because Masu is playing with about 100 ping this time instead of, I believe like 30 or so that you oftentimes play when we are on the Chicago server, it has been a little bit more difficult for Masu to show off. Philip should hop the wall.
So
look at that. That's 2 axes. 2 axes.
He's not happy right now.
No, it's like Ben Patterson, man. Axeman. Aha.
Faisal on the Viking. I love seeing it. I love seeing it. I just love a lot of these picks that can like run in and throw caution to the wind. A lot of these madman picks. That's why I'm like so enamored by Moose Hater.
And Faisal.
Dude's playing Garen and Alawi.
They play the same kind of way. Again, one place that we're looking at from FlyQuest who really going to take over this game right now is Spyrax. They've done a fantastic job in the lane. They got 2 kills. Yuji, are you okay?
Minui looking to take down Yuji. Yuji, what are you doing, man? Minui will take him. And now looking for more. Here comes the return. Still, the double kill found. Bailout comes.
The bailout.
Minui's not going down. He gets a triple kill. And FlyQuest slip up with a huge mistake. Cincinnati Fear will feed it over to Shochi on the final kill.
I love that he made sure to deny parry the assist there, but it is a fantastic time, making sure that they're going to be dead for as long as possible. Faisal has ultimate.
Are you kidding? Faisal over on the top side, waiting for the ultimate to come out of Philip. Will pop out the Ragnarok. Ultimate not burn out from Philip, but fights all over the place, and Fear are winning.
Yeah, Fear, a huge turnaround here, right? FlyQuest, they've just been slightly disconnected in so many of these fights, right? And a great dodge coming through from Minui to get out of all the crowd control. Spyrax tries to turn it around, but just doesn't have enough damage with the bailout. And that's a triple kill going over to Minui. Another shutdown. They picked up one on Ketong before. They picked up another one on Spyrax. Minui taking down all of the demons and showcasing that they need to have some respect paid to them as well.
I mean, Yuji, I don't understand what Yuji was doing right there, taking all that damage before the play even started out. Minui with the nice cleanup kill over for that third one. If you saw that flash on the blade collar, that's what allowed him to get the bailout to work in his favor. I mean, Minui, that was some great hands to see well on display for Cincinnati Fear's bot lane.
It's not as though FlyQuest are out of this one, though, right? The fact that Spyrax is this strong does mean that Jays can just kind of take over the game by themselves, and FlyQuest are actually going to be the ones starting this up first. Spyrax!
Oh, no. He might have cursed him right there, Josh. Spyrax forced to use the flash to get away. All that being said, though, FlyQuest do have positioning on this river. Not going to take the Drake right away, as they thought Spyrax was in trouble, so instead we might have a little bit of fisticuffs thrown where we get a Drake taken. There goes ultimate onto Ketong. Ketong able to slide out away, but this is going to sacrifice huge US4 members of Cincinnati Fear, autoing away at his face. Unstoppable Minui will go.
Trevor not allowing Yuji to get away from that one is going to be a turnaround for the Dragon, and Shochi takes a little bit of damage. Be okay. Yeah, suddenly Fear are the ones who are in the lead, and for all the good things that FlyQuest have done early on, just losing these scraps. They're just losing these fights. They're not doing it as a coordinated team. And Fear, I mean, one of the things that has been so exciting about Wildcard, Fear, AoE, all of our provisional teams that have had success thus far is the fact that they are on the same page. They will commit to the same play each and every time. Look at this. I also like the fact that Perry, he's rushing a Warmogs, right? He just is going for the HP. That he knows that the only real way that FlyQuest does real damage to them is with his damage over time with all kinds of poke, and the Warmogs will nullify that instantly.
Now, there's something nice coming out for FlyQuest, though. They did get a turret over to Spyrax, who, as you mentioned earlier, is doing pretty well over in the mid lane, all things considered. We'll be able to finish off his second item, and off of that recall, something to play with. Does give more and more poke, which you're definitely going to need in quite an abundance of to take down Fear before these fights begin. Now setting up around Rift Herald.
Yeah. And Shochi tag teaming with Faisal. It's his turn to start fighting Philip. And, you know, the Olaf is bad for the Gnar. The Sylas is not exactly a whole lot better, just because you don't have to wait for Mega when you're using the Gnar ultimate as the Sylas. And so Fear here in force.
Oh. Engage for Ketong, wants to find Perry. Perry flashes to the wall, gets rooted up.
Damage.
Big burst of damage from the shock blast of Spyrax will tear apart Trevor. FlyQuest still going on the retreat, though, because Faisal's here, and Faisal wants Spyrax's head. Will cleave it right off, going after Ketong. FlyQuest head for the hills, but Faisal wants to chip away. He's brought his pickaxe and will take down the tree. Will take down the rest of FlyQuest, all but fill up to survive. Big plays for Cincinnati Fear.
Dude, it feels like the Amazon right now with the way that Faisal's chopping down this tree, man. There's not a whole lot that can really be done. It's again FlyQuest. They do so much early damage. They spot the blood. They get the look for an opportunity, and it's Fear. He's just like, what are you doing, man? There's not a whole lot that you can really do here. Your attack doesn't work out and turns it around. And I love the idea. I love the look coming in from Fly, right? They're trying to find anybody that they can. They have numbers for a little while here. But Spyrex, as he goes in and takes down Trevor, the problem is he puts himself in melee range of Faisal's Olaf, and this guy is not to be messed with. Look at all the crowd control that he does not care about at all. Keaton goes down, and then it's just Yuji. He throws a couple of actions. Remember what we said about Rage not being important for Shochi? Weird. Giving over some fantastic ultimates to this Silas player is not a recipe for success.
Cheat codes. Cheat codes for the Silas.
714.
Steals it away, and it will just instantly become that Meganar ultimate. 714 on Minui. My word. We were not expecting Minui to have this level of pop-off performance. As we've said so many times, Josh, bot lane of Fear, placed to support the rest of Fear on the map, but this is a Minui angle that we haven't seen before, and it's looking wonderful for Fear.
Yeah, and one of the things that's been fascinating about Minui is that they haven't necessarily been on most teams for very long, right? They played for the AoE organization for a little while. They were with Wildcard for a little while. They played, with a team called 300 that I don't even really remember seeing anything from these guys, right? This is a guy who has not had a whole lot of big teams that they've played for. They've just been in and out of kind of tier 2 amateur teams, as well as some of the developmental rosters, and this is their first real opportunity on the big stage. And honestly, if we got more games like this from Minui, we'd be talking about this guy a whole lot more.
Yeah, and considering the way the lane went against Masu, who has taken some of the heaviest hitters in the NACL, spectacular for Minui at that regard. And now looking for something in the bottom lane. Cincinnati Fear, posture up over here. Rift Herald's going to go down. A little bit of damage on to this bot lane inner. Not much else to be really found here. Masu is setting up on the back end, but Cincinnati Fear are going for the reset.
Yeah, everybody going to be backing away. Remember, there's another dragon. It is going to be a Hextech dragon, not the Infernal. Someday Riot will be fixing that for us, so we don't get confused when we look up at the timers. But
I'll always be confused.
Always. Yeah. I don't understand.
Once they fix it, I'll be so adjusted to it that it's already too late.
Yeah. Real quick, if you haven't seen it, I would strongly recommend going to YouTube and searching Bottom Lane. It's like button, but with a M at the end. It is one of the most important and it's like culturally significant for League of Legends players. Yeah. It is a UNESCO heritage YouTube video.
I'll look that up later. I haven't seen that.
I think I showed it to you. It's the one with Garen in Italy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. This is not... It's not broadcast friendly.
It's a UNESCO heritage site. Anyway, now we see Fear coming through. They are already here, but Perry...
Oh, Perry got chunked out before this fight even began, but same thing with Philip, who isn't going the tankiest of builds.
Bailout.
Perry gets saved by the bailout. Here comes the ultimate ringing through. Lands onto Keatong, and Faisal has arrived to bring Armageddon to FlyQuest. Double kill found by Minui.
Yeah, Faisal just runs around, and Perry, he goes down, but he comes right on back. The Warmonk's also helping out with just the effective HP you get from the bailout. On the other side of the map, Philip is just now getting to the spot where they're starting to take away some resources from the Fear side of the map, but they don't even do any damage towards the top side, and Shochi is there in time and absolutely would win the 1v1 if he can catch the rat. Oh, Perry's there too? Yeah.
Oh, there goes. Ultimate comes out. Goodbye, Philip. You're going nowhere but to the respawn. Simple pick coming out in that side lane, coming out for Cincinnati Fear. At the same time that they got that Dragon Soul point, so much map control coming out. You're not even going to have side lane pressure for FlyQuest. You don't really have much to fight for right now. The timer. Oh, Faisal! What? He just... Take it, Josh.
Not a lot to say there. It's just a DPS check, and Faisal passes with flying colors, and that should be a Baron start coming through for Fear here in just a sec. If they want it, Faisal's going to be picking up a turret on the far side of the map, and Fear, they have nothing left to fear. They can go anywhere they want. Harry just kind of blindly hopping over walls at this point because he knows he can.
Oh, I'm still recovering from that, but I don't have time because there's another fight coming out. Here comes Minui. Oh, it's so beautiful with the blade collar. Will tear apart Keatong, and that's all that's needed for Cincinnati Fear. They've taken off enough pressure for FlyQuest. It's time to dance around this Baron, Josh.
Oh, yeah. Dance, it's just due, right? You don't really need to worry about anybody coming over, right? You have a Sejuani, as soon as somebody shows up, you just throw an ult out, and they are stuck on the other side. FlyQuest going to be having to give this one up, and Fear, I mean, I was saying like a 4 and 8, now it's looking much more like a 5 and 7 coming through. I mean, they still have a very tough schedule ahead of them, but taking down one of the teams that we were kind of excited about going into the year is, again, another great look coming out from Fear. And FlyQuest, they just never really got anything going this game, right? The one time that we were like, oh, was a big blunder coming out from the dive. And as Philip, like, tries to pick up this turret to get at least a little bit of gold back, Faisal's there. Like, there is nothing here for FlyQuest to play for it. And the only characters that scale decently at all on this roster are Spyrex on the Jace, who, you know, once they get 3 items, will be doing quite a bit of damage, and Mazu on the Kaisa. But, you know, we talk about the scaling, he's 3,000 gold behind Manui at this point, right? Like, Manui is just an entire item ahead and will be for the rest of the game.
And then some. Manui is just cashed in, investment banking, feeling great about how that bottom lane went, and Fear are feeling great about how this entire game went. I mean, even down to the draft, I mean, you had a lot of criticisms in that draft, and I think it's showing exactly why, Josh.
Yeah. It is fascinating to me that the 2 worst drafts I've seen this entire season have both been against Fear, right? Like, AoE saw Olaf as like, yeah, let's pick a bunch of things that are crowd control.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's just like, let's pick a bunch of crowd control into Olaf, right? It has happened with FlyQuest, it happened with AoE before, and Fear getting fantastic wins as long as teams aren't respecting the fact that Faisal's Olaf is a problem to play against. They're going to be finding all of these wins as they break open the base.
And Shochi enjoying that ultimate that was hand-delivered by Yuji. Says thank you for that draft pick of the Maokai.
Yeah.
And with that inhibitor going down over in the top lane, in the mid lane, this seems clinical at this point. Cincinnati Fear, final nails going into the coffin.
Yeah. I mean, Trevor takes a good chunk, but I mean, you lose HP for 2 inhibitors, yeah, every single time.
Oh, Philip caught out. Hostile takeover, and it's a complete takeover by Cincinnati Fear as they march into the base of FlyQuest and destroy them from head to toe. This squad, a provisional team that you shouldn't be doubting, you should definitely be fearing. Cincinnati Fear will take FlyQuest on a 2-0 sweep.
Yeah, and honestly, what a performance came out from Manui in particular, right? Before he came onto this team, it was just middling results at best throughout all of the PGCQ qualifiers, throughout anything that they were doing. They're doing well on like UPL events, but coming into this level of play and having that kind of performance is a huge testament to how much more this player has left to grow. And frankly, the fact that they now show that they have a threat not just on the top side, but they can also play through the bottom side is a fantastic showing coming out from Cincinnati Fear.
Absolutely fantastic. And considering they recovered from what was a massive bot lane blunder, giving over 2 kills rather early in all those summoner spells, you know, it shows their resolve. Minui, great performance to bring it back over in that bottom lane and help Cincinnati Fear get this 2-0 sweep, but that is going to do it for the series. We're going to take a moment to take a short break, and we return. We'll have Rafa on the other side with an interview with Cincinnati Fear.
What's good, y'all? Welcome back. We have Perry on the interview desk after a very successful and, might I say, very damn good, convincing 2-0 sweep over FlyQuest Challengers amidst, you know, maybe some, I don't want to say doubt, but maybe some fear around after the 0-4 week. But Perry, y'all shut up all the haters about it. It's like, hey, 0-4 week, man, that is whatever. It's in the past. We move on for the future. And I actually wanted to get a little bit of your insight and the rest of the team's kind of reactions after that 0-4 week.
So the 0-4 was definitely not a good start of the week for us. Like, we have never experienced a 0-2, but having 2 0-2s back to back was definitely something that none of us necessarily expected.
Sure.
We had a bad week. We were playing not to our greatest, and honestly after that, like, a lot of us were maybe kind of out of it. Like, we were motivated, but like we knew something was wrong. And doing the scrim week, like, it's not like we necessarily found anything that crucial in terms of gameplay. We kind of still played the same, and we tried playing the same. It was more to the mental side of things that we realized, like, okay, some of these things that are happening in the game we get too angry at, or or like relax, or there's a lot of like focus issues. Realize like the big thing for us as a team is like sometimes, especially in game, especially because we're living together, we can mix up like friendships and actually playing the game. Like things can get too chaotic, and ultimately I think overcoming the mental barrier, living in a team and just playing League professionally now, getting through that mental barrier is like the next step for us as a team. And so far we've clearly shown that we're getting there. So
sure. So could kind of further clarify what that meant for you last week? It wasn't necessarily like things that were wrong in your gameplay, but it was just when certain things happened, it was the mental side for you guys and just making sure, hey, you know, it's cool. We got our win cons that we're playing towards. Let's just keep focused. Let's stay in mind. Or when you guys are doing well, you know, as fun as it is to, you know, be living with a group of your friends and, you know, doing well, you always got to make sure your eyes on the prize at the end of the day.
Yeah. Like, when a mistake would happen, you know, sometimes we all kind of get tilted, get angry, and pretty much just mentally we would be out of it. Like one bad thing could happen and we'd be out of it. But today we showed, like, game 1, we got dove twice. Like, our top lane got dove, our bottom got dove. It didn't affect us at all. Like, we were completely vibing with the game, and we had our eyes on the prize, knew what we were going to do. So, it felt really good playing.
Hell yeah. And it was, I want to give a quick shout out over to Manui as well. I know there's a lot of kind of speculation about, hey, Masu's, you know, doing incredibly well on this FlyQuest Challengers roster. Manui's not comparing to the rest of the 80 carry pool within the Challengers League, but Manui had a damn good game on this Zaya and even stepped into his role being one of the few marksman players playing on this Seraphine as well. You know, any insight on just how he has been feeling these past few weeks?
I mean, he's just the most underdog player like I've ever seen. Like, the guy grinds champs queue, he grinds solo queue. He's the biggest grinder I've ever seen, and he just gets hated on permanently. Everyone thinks he's just terrible, and I think he showed today that, hey, he doesn't need to play marksman to win. He's completely fine not being the main character, but when it's his turn to be the main character, he will prove that he's the best. And he did it today. He really showed that he's better than a lot of these ADCs, and he's better than where people think he's at. So I don't know, honestly, I'm just so impressed by how motivated Manui is all the time, and it's just kind of sad to see that people think he's not only bad, but yeah, I think he's bad. So.
Yeah, sure. I mean, he proved a lot of those people wrong, including myself as well today, coming into this series. So hats off to Manui. But I want to take a scope and look outside of just the game, because this is a short week. We only got games today and tomorrow. No games on Monday, as it is a holiday, so you guys are going to get an extra day off. What does the team like to do when you guys are not playing on the Rift?
So these past 2 weeks have been kind of like off and on. Normally, we go to the gym in the morning, play some basketball, we maybe lift a little bit, and we sometimes at after scrims we'll play board games, we'll do stuff together. Like, we have a community pool, we'll go to a pool. Like, normally we're together, like, yeah, just like vibing. But sometimes, you know, players want to come, or, you know, there's always this kind of like communication issues sometimes, and, you know, it gets out of control because some people get angry that X players don't want to come. Like, there's all sorts of things we need to get past.
Sure.
But otherwise, like, most of the time, like, it's pretty fun being around everyone, and we're all glad we're here living together. Like, for the most part, it's pretty enjoyable, and yeah.
Okay. Well, you mentioned a community pool. Would this community pool also happen to have a hot tub, Perry?
It does, and it actually has two pools. And 2 hot tubs. It's a huge thing. I don't know. We got really lucky. We got really lucky with the place we're at. So
yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, you might have to clear it with your Cincinnati Fear Management, of course, but I think y'all are due for a hot tub stream at some point. Then
okay. I mean, we'll see. We'll see about that one. Yeah.
No. Of course, it's like only if you guys want to. But you know, I'm just telling you. You like. That's content right there, you know. But good for the brand. Now, moving past that, what have you guys like gone out to eat anywhere? Like, what are like the local hotspots that you guys have been really enjoying?
Well, we are kind of strapped on money. Like, we don't have much money. Like, should be told, that's just how it is. Sure. Like, most of our money goes into rent, but there is a little plaza that's like a 10-minute walk away that has like some foods. Like, there's like Mexican food, like chicken, like all that kind of stuff. Wings, like. As a team though, we went to KBBQ together.
Yeah.
After we had like a 4-0 week, or maybe it was a 3-1 week, I forget. We had a really good week and we went out, and that's pretty much it. Like overall, like we're trying to do stuff together. We're trying to like enjoy time, eat out, but yeah.
Okay. Hey, and you know what? No shame, man. Like at food plazas, food courts, goated. Like anytime you want a little bit of variety, but you're just trying to like make the best for your budget. I mean, like that's where it's at. And sometimes at the end of the day, it's not necessarily about the food. It's about the people that you're enjoying that experience with and the food with. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
More team bonding experience. All right. Well, Perry, it's been a pleasure. Before I let you go, brother, is there anything else that you would like to shout out today or let the fans know at home?
I mean, I just want to shout out, like, as always, like my team doing such a good job. Like, everyone here at the house. Like, I'm so happy we're here together. Honestly, it's honestly been so amazing.
Yeah.
My family, my brother, my mom, my girlfriend, my dad, like everyone around me, all my IRL friends, and I mean, really, like, Manui step up to the plate. So like it should be known, like this is not the end of Manui going off and showing what he's made out of. So
Yeah. All right. Thanks again, Perry, for your time, and congrats to you and the rest of the Cincy Fear boys on a well-played series and a well-played games today. We're going to catch you later tomorrow, but for us, we're going to be closing out the first series. When we come back after this break, it's going to be our second series of the day, Dignitas Challengers taking on Wildcard.